In this video we're going to be looking at data-driven Gherkin to create just-in-time rigorous test data for BDD framework. The journey can start with a business analyst who can create models of requirements inside Test Modeler. You can also take existing Gherkin feature files to create and reverse engineer models from them. Once you have a model, you can overlay to make and find test data from a wide array of data sources. We're going to be looking at Excel in this example. You can also use that model to export Gherkin scenarios with data in, which has embedded dynamic data tags. Once you're ready, you can embed this Gherkin into your BDD frameworks like Cucumber and SpecFlow, and testers can then integrate this with their glue code along with using the Test Modeler scanner to create page objects. When the automation is executed, it will go off, resolve any test data, and then synchronize up the run results back on top of the original model. Let's jump in and define some reusable test data lookups. Okay, now what we have here is an Excel sheet with different data which has been provisioned inside our test environment. And what we have here are different orders, returns, and people which exist inside our customer transactions database. And what we want to do is be able to look up some data from this to use in our test environments. Now to do that, within Test Modeler we have a test data management engine where you can come in and you can start to create reusable catalogues for different test data lookups you may want to perform. Here we're going to create a new criteria which is going to allow us to look up orders by city, and we're going to do this using our Excel sheet we have of different data available. We'll come in here and we're going to select our Excel sheet and we're going to specify to look up orders here. We're then going to select a column to output, or multiple columns, and we're going to return the customer name and also the order ID, and the query we're going to perform is by the city where the order was processed. Now we can come in here and we can make it uniquely allocated, and we can also define how many we want, so we'll come in and define 10 of them. We can give some inputs here for a default, which we're going to select as Seattle. We'll see here we've got our output set, and we'll hit save. Now what we've essentially done here is built a reusable component which is going to allow us to look up orders which have occurred given a city, which is our criteria for the test data we need. We're now going to request some test data. Now as a manual tester, I may want to come in and request some data which I need. To do that, we can create pools of data for particular environments. Here we're going to create a new pool for our superstore, and we're going to create a new criteria we want to look up. Here we're going to find orders by Seattle. The test criteria we're going to use is orders by city. We'll go and find 10 of them, and we want to find orders with a city of Seattle and return the customer name and corresponding order ID. Now we'll save this and we're then going to go off and run it. Now we'll see here our job is complete. If we come back and take a look at the result here, what we'll see is that we found 10 rows, we found the different names, and we also found the different order IDs which correspond to any orders purchased in Seattle. We'll now export to Gherkin. Now what we're going to do here is create a little model to represent our order process to pick out different customer orders. So we're going to start and we're going to make a new order. So this is going to be a given. So given I make a new order, then what we're going to do is we're going to do a quick lookup to find out some criteria about that order. So we'll come into our superstore and we're going to drag and drop this orders by city. We'll do an import here, and what we're going to do is we're going to create a new rule for the city with different equivalence classes in for our city that we have. So we're going to put 3 cities in here. We're going to put Seattle, we'll put Los Angeles, and then we'll also put Madison. We'll add this in, we'll hit save. What we'll see here is that we've now got 3 different cities coming through. We'll then say when I make an order, and this is going to be a when block, and what we're going to do in this particular one is when I make an order from a specific location, a specific city, and then we'll embed that dynamic variable inside there. Then what we're going to do is we're going to add a then block, and what this is going to say is my name is, I'm going to insert the customer name, and my order ID is the order ID which exists within our backend data source. We'll connect this up to an end block and we'll do relayout. Now what we've in essence got here is we have created a visual model which just has 3 simple blocks in a given when and then, but these have been parameterized up with some data that exists in a backend data source. Now what we can then do is we can go through and we can hit generate, and this is going to generate us some different routes, some different scenarios which we have, and we can then go off and we can do an export into Gherkin. So here we're going to get our orders, we're going to have non-dynamic data, and we're going to push this out into our Superstore data pool, and we'll hit export here. Now you'll see that this is complete. We can do a download here, and if we take a look at the corresponding feature file, what we'll see is that we've got 3 different scenarios, and these have our given when and then in. When I make an order from Seattle, we have a data table here with my different customer names and my order IDs. When I make an order from Los Angeles, I have the same corresponding table with my different data which has been found. And also when I make an order from Madison, I have my different data which meets that criteria, which has been pushed into my Gherkin feature file. So this is a really nice way that we can go in and we can start to visually model Gherkin. We can embed custom backend data which can be allocated and found for you and then embedded into your corresponding feature files for consumption in your BDD framework. Finally, let's look at some Gherkin with dynamic test data embedded. Now in this feature file we had static data. What you'll often want to happen is have dynamic data which is resolved just in time as your automation executes. Now we'll do an export here, and what we're going to do is export to Gherkin with dynamic data embedded inside. So we'll call this our orders dynamic data, and we'll push this into our Superstore data pool, and we'll do an export. So what we've done here is we've embedded this feature file inside a Cucumber based framework, and what we can now do is we can go off and execute this feature file, and what it's going to do is just in time go away and dynamically resolve all of these dynamic data tags we have inside our feature file. Now if we take a look at what's happened as we've run our automation, what we'll see here is we've got our feature file which has been resolved from our dynamic data references to actual physical values which have been dynamically allocated and populated into our feature file on the fly as we execute our automation. Thanks for watching this video. Visit testmodeler.io to start your free trial today.